Welcome once again to Proclaim 2025. Yeah, woohoo! We are happy people. Let's try that another time. Welcome once again to Proclaim 2025. Yeah. That's better. That's better. So we are continuing with our theme this year, the church. Can we say it together? 1, 2, 3, let's go. The church must grow. Oh yes. And so we are going to learn today through story and an interview. I'm very honored today to be interviewing Pastor Tim and Rebecca Lindsay all the way from the United States of America. Even my accent has to catch up. So bear with me if I need them to understand me. Okay, so please, I'm not forging, I'm just flowing. I'm flowing. So Pastor Tim and Rebecca, welcome to Proclaim 2025. Yes, these are the people that Apostle talks about often. You've probably seen the pictures, the ones who introduced us to Papa Mike Breen and the missional community concept. They came and they hung out with us for, I think, like 3 months. We used to meet at a hotel and they would go through the building a discipling culture book with us, trying to help us understand the questions of what is Jesus saying to you, what are you going to do about it? And the relationship has continued. But right now they are leading, I think you heard, that they lead a dream team. Now dream team is a mechanics team, just to break it down for the people in Worship Harvest or the volunteers that come to your church on Sunday morning. The team is 2,000 something. Is it actually 2,000, Pastor?
2,200.
The margin is 200. I'm sure you can't do that. Okay, you can, but I don't know what margin you have, but the margin is you could leave out 200 and it's still okay. I can't.
Give or take.
Give or take. I cannot give or take 200. So, yeah, I hope you can now listen. Yeah, there's an opportunity. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves, Seacoast, and then we're going to dive into it. How to get the result that you have.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for having us here. We love being in Kampala, Uganda. Muli Motia. We love you. And we have just an honor and a privilege to have lived right close by here in Nitinda. And to have spent some time with you, and that this relationship is still growing and still going. We're so honored and privileged. We moved to the States. So when we came here the first time, came from Switzerland, where we also in England and got to know Mike Breen and all the 3DM discipleship materials or whatever. And so we're actually Swiss. We come from Switzerland. Guess who's half Swiss? Bishop Dag.
Wow.
Come on now.
I didn't see that one coming.
There you go. And yes, we moved to the States in 2019. And we joined a church called Seacoast Church. And just absolutely fantastic church. It started in 27 years ago. 37 years ago in Charleston, South Carolina. And so back in the day when they started, I think, just to give you a quick story so that you know what kind of a church this is. They started, do you know how they started? No. They started by taking out the telephone book. And I don't know if you have ever had a telephone book here. Yes. Did you have the yellow pages here? Oh, yes. So the white pages are the ones with the residential addresses. And so they took out the white pages and they would call up people and invite them to church. And the church started, the first service that they had 300 people. And then they had what they call a Gideon revival. It just kept going down. 300, 280, 250, 200. 150, 100, until they were about 80 people. And it took them a whole 5 years to get back to 300 people.
You're encouraging us.
And so they started to grow, and they had different phases of ministry. And one of the things that one of the stories that I love to talk about is how they actually moved into multi-site. So now they are, at Easter we had 33,000 people in person visit a Seacoast service.
Wow.
Even for us, it was absolutely incredible. I have pictures of masses of people just trying to get through the doors, to get a seat, to experience God's presence, to connect with people. And you know, one of the amazing things I saw, I was in charge of a venue, and the venue had no live person. There wasn't a live moderator, there wasn't a live band. There was nobody who was live there. I'm not saying this is this is what you should do. I'm just saying they rolled the camera. Yeah. It came on screen. Yeah. People were crying, moved by the Holy Spirit. People raised their hands, gave their lives to Christ. Wow. Became a part of the church, decided to take their next steps. And it was just, something is so great when the Holy Spirit moves and you can just see it and feel it. It's just incredible. But anyway, so they were always in one building, one church, when we're talking about multiplication and how to multiply. Always in one building. Went from one service to two services to three services to 4 to 5 to 6 services, 2 Saturday evening services and 4 Sunday services. And so they're filling this building of about 1,500 seats, and they're having these multiple services, and the town won't let them expand, so they can't extend their building. Yeah. So just like Nalia at the beginning was half a building. Yes. We also had half a building, but the town wouldn't let us build the other half. Yeah. And so somebody had a bright idea and said, why don't we record Saturday night service on a VHS cassette? Remember those? Okay. On a VHS cassette, and took it to a building that was about 100 yards down the road. And on Sunday morning, put in the VHS cassette. And play. And play. And we had our first offsite campus. And it was amazing, because it was something that, you know, when you have a restraint, when you fight against a problem, and you can be depressed, you can find it so difficult, and you can pull back. Yes. But they decided to move forward, to find a way, to open a door, to try again, see something new. And so that happened. That was the first offsite, and then all of a sudden, all these other different offsites. We now have 14 across South Carolina and 1 in North Carolina. Wow.
Yeah. I think there's so much already for us to learn, especially the last thing you said right there, that instead of seeing obstacles, when you feel stuck, maybe it's the team that you're trying to grow, or the church, that you see solutions and a way out instead of seeing a roadblock. Yeah. That these people, that was the beginning of the multi-site, because there was a challenge concerning growth. Great. So I guess we want to know, how was it always 2,000 volunteers showing up on a Sunday morning, 2,000 give or take 200?
About.
I'll be there. So was
almost.
it? Almost. So was it always that way? What was it? What was the journey? How have you built a team of volunteers who show up on a Sunday morning, bodies? Yeah. 2,000 live. With eyes and ears.
With eyes and ears.
To serve, not
eyes,
to attend, to
ears.
serve on a Sunday morning. Yeah, as you can hear, we really want to know.
First of all, not all of my volunteers have 2 eyes. I know one who's blind in one eye. Sorry. No, of course we weren't always that big. As the church grew, we became bigger, and I think what's really good is our system. The system that we have is we believe that God, in America, in the South especially, people will go to church, and if I invite you to go to church, there's a good chance that you might come to church. So the church, the Sunday service, is the first entry door for many people in America, especially in the South. And so we've learned to put on, a church service that is spiritual and at the same time simple and attractional. And we're very excited about it. Now the problem is with our culture is, how do we then disciple? And so we have a system. The system, we have people in the service, and then the system is, the next step is, we have a next steps course. Pastor Rebecca here is in charge of Assimilation at Seacoast, and so she's in charge.
Assimilation.
Come on.
We are already like, tell us about it.
Well, we have so many different. We call it from the streets to the seats. So we have different teams to get the people from the streets to the seats, and then we have another team to get the people from the seats to the family, to the community.
Pastor, I want to stop you. And I want you to slow it down and break it down between you and Pastor Rebecca. Tell us what happens from the streets to the seats, and from the seats to the family. We want to know that process. What does it look like?
Well, on the one process is just when people arrive at a campus, and I could talk through that quickly, because that would also be encouraging and helpful. But also then there's the mission field. Where are we inviting our people? Who are we in conversation with at our workplace, in school, in our day-to-day lives? And are we inviting them to church? And how are we helping each other invite people to church? Once they get to church, there's a simple process. You put flashers on. Flashers. So car lights. So people will come into the church. Some will self-identify and say, I am a new person.
Yes.
Some will not. The majority will not. The majority of the people coming to your church service will not say, I'm here for the first time. Well, I don't know what it's like in Uganda. If you say that, would people react that way? In our American culture, no. They want to be anonymous. They want to take the back seat, and we allow them to do that. And so those who do self-identify, they will make sure that they do that with their car when they come in. They'll shine their lights. They'll flash their lights, and then we'll take them to a new here parking space.
They need to have a car so that they can shine the lights.
You will get there.
All right, here it's just getting the iPhone out.
No. Can this work? Shine the lights?
So basically, maybe, which is more applicable here in this culture, is we have a new here team. So we have people who are on the lookout for new people.
All right.
So some of them self-identify, some of them don't, but they'll see. So the person who comes into the service, walks into the building, and he's like,
you can tell they're new.
New person. And then all of a sudden, somebody from the New Here team is there. And at Seacoast, it's just a wonderful culture, a wonderful community. They do it very relational. Hey, how can I help you? Are you looking for something? Let me show you. Do your kids need to be checked in? Let me walk you to where the kids are. Can I grab you a coffee? Here's a coffee.
Sounds very familiar. I like it.
My biggest budget, the biggest money that I pay out in my department is coffee. Lots of coffee.
Yeah. Beautiful. So we'd like to hear about the assimilation process. I think, how do these people they've come in, you've identified them, they're new people. How do they get to the place of serving on a team?
Well, we have a next step for 2 weeks per month where we invite them to come and be part of, where they hear the story, where they hear about the different ministries and the way how they can connect. And part of it is we want to be behind invitation. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to come and join the team. But we also want to have the challenge of, similar like here, you come, you feel I'm family when I start serving.
Yes.
Especially in a big church. Even though you can attend for a while and you may be needed for healing reasons or whatever, or security reasons, but then you actually feel I belong is when you start serving.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's not even the dream team possibilities we don't need 2,200 people every Sunday.
Wow.
So volunteer has nothing to do, it's because we need you.
Wow.
But we know you need
You
it.
need it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
And so
that.
even greeter teams, let's say you have 4 doors here, you could cover them with 4 doors.
Yeah.
4 people.
Every 4 people.
Yeah.
But what about you have 12 or more? So we create spaces for them to make it as easy as possible so you can become part of a team, which means I will count myself, I'm part of the church, I'm part of that family.
Wow. So it's first it's the change of mindset as opposed to approaching volunteers as we need you. It's to envision them to say you need to serve because it helps you become a real part of the family.
Yes.
I love it. So mindset shift. So then we
Yeah.
create room
Yes.
for you
Yes.
to serve because that's what helps you to have
Yeah.
a sense of belonging.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the other processes that you have that motivating the team, keeping people? Because it's one thing for someone to walk through the door.
Yeah.
We recruit a lot. We've had times when we've had more than 90 people come forward and say, we want to serve on a team. But getting them, first of all, to actually show up on Sunday and serve and
Yeah.
keep coming after that, even for that class, people signing up and showing up, there's a gap.
Yeah.
So what has your experience been? What are you doing that is working that we could maybe learn from?
Well, I think just making Dream Team or making volunteers a priority, mechanics a priority, talking about mechanics from the stage, celebrating mechanics, giving vision for mechanics, sharing opportunities for mechanics, just communication.
Okay.
That's one. The other thing is then training mechanics. So training would be like, for us, it's not a big thing, it's like 4 quarterly events. Where we gather all the mechanics and we give them TED Talks. Boom, boom, boom. We give them 4 TED Talks. And just like the wonderful lady that we had here before gave her TED Talk, it was awesome. It was so good. And we can learn so much. And so it doesn't have to always be an expert outside speaker, but an expert inside speaker that can speak to it. And we give them TED Talks. And then we'll train them on practicalities. So check-in, and we have a whole check-in system, some different practical things, skills that they need for their ministry, individualized. So we do training, and then so communication training and celebration, and then once a year we'll celebrate them all the time, all the time, the different services in different ways. But then once a year we honor them. And we honor the Dream Team of the Year from Kids Coast, the Dream Teamer of the Year from Guest Services, the Dream Teamer of the Year from Production, from Custom or Student Ministry. And then the students will rally around that Dream Teamer. Thank you so much for serving us. We love you, and then the Guest Services people, well, you deserve that. And it's just a very, very powerful moment when we celebrate them,
So let me lean into that a little bit. I really like that the 3 things you've said: communication, over-communicate. It could be possible that we're not communicating as we think we are, but maybe we are not communicating as much about the volunteer team or mechanics or whatever it is that we call it at your church.
And communicating the why.
The why. Not the need, but the why.
Not the need, the why.
So for example, what is the why?
The why is, for example, depending on the situation, connection. Become a part of the family. If you want to become a part of the family, hey, we have a place for you on this team. And we'd love for you, to be a part of this. So that's a why. A why is, for instance, that when you serve, you will be outserved. People will serve you. When you give, it will be given to you. So just thinking of different ways of communicating why it's important to serve.
So how often would you say you communicate in a normal church service about the why? How often do you communicate about volunteers in the church?
Not enough. Not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough for me. No, we'll use every form of communication. So not just platform communication. When I'm thinking about communication, I'm thinking about emails, text messages, conversations, training events, in the breezeway. I'm thinking about all forms of conversation.
I mean, once a month they do see a video where they get invited for it. But we overestimate the communication on the platform. It's always the personal invitation is the best.
It's true.
So even you being part of the volunteer, your invitation or your word has so much more value than the one that just plays it from the platform. And so yes, we use the video, but the outcome is much, much higher from the personal invitation. And that's why even communication, helping the dream teamer to see we really value you as a greeter or in the kids course, but we want them to learn that they value that more people are going to be added to their team. So their invitation or their communication is going to be very, very important.
I agree entirely. So is it part of the training then for the volunteers themselves to be taught to recruit other volunteers or invite other volunteers?
Yes, and this has to, it's again like keeping the vision going. If you know the square, you know, the multiplication square when Jesus,
yes,
the first line is always reminding them again and again why we do what we do. And we tend, especially when you've been in church and you've been leading for a long time, we tend to forget to see the perspective of someone that came new.
Who is new.
And that's why reminding them what is the vision and why we need you and why that the challenge, why it will be good for you, it's important to communicate.
Begin with the why. Stick with the why.
Start with why.
Because for the new person, what I'm hearing is that sometimes we lose, we don't know what the new person is feeling or seeing, so we don't communicate the why because we think everyone knows they should serve on a team, so, get on and serve.
Yes.
But I'm still interested in the process of, I find that for many churches, we're great at inviting the people. But we're not very good at orienting them and keeping them, and maybe that's they get in and they get lost and they just disappear.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a resource that you have. I don't know if that has helped on the team, but if you could tell us a little bit about the process. So they've come in, they've come to the class, they've learned about the church. What next?
Yeah, so for us, that was the big thing when we arrived in America. We realized pretty quickly that people aren't being discipled as we thought they would be. They're coming to church. Some people can come to church for years and years and years and never take a next step.
Yeah.
And so our heart, just like your heart, is to make disciples that make disciples that make disciples that make disciples that make disciples. And so we thought, okay, how can we help the church that we're in continue the process? And that's where Unstoppable Growth came in, and Pastor Greg and Pastor Josh gave us room to grow Unstoppable Growth. And I think that is the biggest thing that really keeps people, one of the bigger things that keeps people motivated is when they know their why. And that's what we're going to talk about in our seminar. We're going to talk about, how to help people create a why statement, and so that they know their why. And if you know your why, you will always find your way.
Oh.
And so when people are a part of a group and they know their why, then they can go to the coffee and clean out the coffee pot and not grumble and not complain, but be happy and joyful. I know my why. I'm here. I'm here to serve, and I'm part of a team, and I'm doing this because this is a ministry that God's called me to. And so they're motivated and they stay on track. And I think that's one of the benefits of Unstoppable Growth, which is a sort of a 10-week program that helps people be passionate about the calling that's on their life.
So Unstoppable Growth is a book that they've written, and it's now sort of a training resource that they use that's really about purpose for you. So I know that it's used a lot on the Dream Team. How has that impacted your Dream Team, Unstoppable Growth?
I would say especially the high capacity ones, more and more, it's always, you still need to have a want. I mean, there's one thing I can give you, but if you're not taking it, I can talk as much as I want. And so that's where it comes in a big church, that we want to have an easy way for you where you just can serve, but there's a possibility for more. And so you pick out the ones, and even there, most of it happens with invitation. You see something in someone, and you start inviting them.
Yeah.
And the outcome of that is, the more you realize who you are and whose you are, and the why in that you're living out, you know exactly what you're going to give your yes to, and the no that you have to give to.
Yes.
Because when you learn saying no to something, it creates space for someone else to take that in. Very often we cover something that we shouldn't be covering, that someone else should be covering. And so when I know my why, I can do that. And so the good thing is people become much more intentional, they become much more aware in serving. And so when you give your yes, it becomes a commitment,
Yes.
which means I can definitely count on you. This team is covered, they're going to show up, they're going to lead their people, they don't even need me anymore, you empower them for it. And so a lot of dream team leaders that we have gone through Unstoppable. Even the last couple of hires we did were Unstoppable people.
Wow.
It's just something, the more you grow in your identity in Jesus, the fruits are shown, and
Yeah.
it's visible for others. And so that's part of what we see as well.
Pastor Tim, you look like you're about to add something to that. Please, go ahead.
No, I think what it's done most of all is create leaders.
Yeah.
Because when you start to become self-aware and your identity grows, you become more courageous, and then people start to follow you.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all about: creating and developing, identifying and deploying new leaders. And so we're so thankful that we've been able to be a part of that.
Ish. Beautiful. Are you guys learning? One of the big things for me so far is the why. Does the team that I am leading, do they know the why? Or am I the one who knows the why?
Yeah.
And for them, they just show up.
Yeah.
And they know the what. They know that
Yes.
you show up and you do this, but I don't really know why. And if they don't know the why, I'm going to keep having to motivate them.
Yes.
Coming up with all sorts of gimmicks because there's no fuel on the inside
Yes.
that's driving them consistently. And what I've also heard is that part of that is helping them to grow. When there's personal growth, when the person is growing,
Yeah.
their commitment is also growing
Yeah.
because they are getting better, and you're now
Yes.
developing leaders
Yes.
as opposed to just developing workers, people who just
Yes.
show up and get the job done, but they now are leaders, and
Yes.
they of course will start getting others in the game because that's
Yeah.
what leaders do.
Yeah.
So that's really, really powerful. So you said something about communication, which I think the big thing for me is communicate the why.
Yeah.
That's the big communication
Yeah.
to be doing. Then you talked about training, and I think training.
And celebration.
What happens there? You said you have 4 events a year. Tell us a little bit about that, and then of course I'm going to come back and ask about it was communication, training, and celebration.
Yeah. Well, there's different trainings going on. Like every Sunday is a training event.
Okay, tell us about that.
No, every Sunday you have somebody shadowing you. Every Sunday somebody's looking over your shoulder. Every Sunday you're helping somebody integrate into the team. Every Sunday you're showing somebody else what you're doing.
Ish.
Every Sunday.
No, Pastor Tim, wait a
No.
minute. Are you saying that the expectation is that there's apprenticeship almost all the time?
The expectation is there. The reality is not.
Yes, but at least the expectation is there.
The expectation, how can I go a little bit below expectation? The ask.
The
ask
ask,
is there.
yeah.
The ask is there. And
But it's also, the potential is here every Sunday. So why would you not
The
think
potential
like
is
that?
Totally.
there every Sunday
Yeah.
to be a training event.
also, if you are a guest at a service and you see somebody helping somebody else, it's much easier for you to join the team. If you see just people who've got it all together, they know exactly what to do, and they're wizards on this, the coffee machine, wizards on this and wizards on that, then you're like, oh, they got it.
Yeah.
They don't need me.
Yeah.
But if I see people growing and helping, I'm like, oh, I can be a part of that. They're helping him, they'll help me.
Wow.
So every Sunday should be a training event, and then the other training events are when we get, and then there's the practical training events that they have in their teams. So Kids Coast will get together and train their teams in
Wow.
what they need to do, and all the different ministries, guest
Yes.
services. And then there's the big training events, which is we get our campus pastor. So each campus will have a big training event. The campus pastor will lead that event, and it'll be more inspirational, vision-orientated.
Wow. That's really huge, especially the opportunity that we have every Sunday.
Yeah.
Every Sunday we have an opportunity to make that an opportunity to train and to get everyone to be training someone.
Yeah.
So that's very, very big because it opens the door wide. Could you tell us a little bit about maybe what generally happens at a training event, the corporate ones? What generally happens there?
We'll get everybody there for breakfast, and then we'll have
It's free.
It's free.
It's
of
free.
course.
Free breakfast, free food.
Yes.
Gets them in the door. And then we will do, and we learned this from Mike Breen and from 3DM learning communities. We'll get everybody into tables. So we won't have them sitting in rows.
Okay.
We'll get them into tables. Sometimes we'll mix them. So we'll have somebody from a kids coast with a student, with a guest services. There are certain types of people that want to serve in certain areas.
Yes.
And when they mix at a table, it can be really funny and really nice.
Yeah.
And so we'll mix them up so that it's not my team is over here and your team is over there. So we'll mix them up. We have different games to help them mix up. So we'll make it a fun event. And then we'll laugh a lot together. We'll eat together. And then we'll inspire by different TED Talks. And
Every TED Talk stops with a question that they're going to process on the table again.
yeah.
So there's conversation around
Yes.
the table.
So every TED Talk, 10 minutes, and they have to end with a simple question, one question, like whatever, pretending to the topic, and then they have 10 minutes around the table where they discuss it and what is God saying to me, what are you going to do about it?
How long is the training?
The training is one morning.
The whole morning?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
That's good.
yes, it's very good, but it's nothing compared to your trainings. whole days and whole weeks.
No,
Whole nights.
Pastor Tim. That's how you
my
feel
goodness.
about us.
MC yesterday evening, he said, was it yesterday evening when Apostle Moses said, we're in a race?
Yes.
I said, yeah, Worship Harvest is in a race. Let's go.
That is how Pastor
So
Tim
good.
experiences as our trainings are whole days, whole nights, and whole weeks. Beautiful. That's very helpful. Now let's talk about the celebration. Tell us about it, because you sort of said something about it quickly, but I think we can benefit from that. The celebration of the teams. What does it look like?
Celebration will get the whole dream team together. So at every campus, at our campus, it's about 800 dream teamers. So we'll get them all together. And then we'll invite people who aren't on the dream team yet. So we'll say, this is for the dream team and anybody who wants to join the dream team. So anybody who wants to join can come and take a look at their future teams.
I like
connect. And then anybody who wants to join sees the spirit of honor that we have for our dream team, how much we love them, how much we treasure them. And so sometimes we'll put on a big fun event. Polar Express, we did one time. We did some fun events. Recently, the last 2 years, we've done awards.
Awards.
Yes, and where we'll take, different Dream Teamers and award them with different awards, Dream Teamer of the Year award. And then one of the ministry leaders, the ministry leader will come up and read a little thing, why this Dream Teamer is so important, and usually share a story that impacted the Dream Team leader.
Wow.
So the Dream Team leader has a story with this Dream Teamer and how this Dream Teamer has been serving and is so full of passion and joy, and then we'll honor them.
Award them.
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
for us leaders, it's good. It's like to belong. It's also to be seen.
Yes.
And there's a tendency, because we look at them very often, oh, you're just filling a need. We take them for granted. And
Correct.
creating an opportunity where we can celebrate them. It's also, hey, we're family. So quickly you forget that you're family and you just go to the next thing.
We're working.
And the celebration is no. We're actually doing kingdom work. We're doing a great work. We're inviting others to meet Jesus. And so let's celebrate that.
Ish. To belong is to be seen.
Yes.
To belong is to be seen.
Yes.
I think you're helping us. I mean, I already see so many parties that are going to come up for our mechanics at the different locations. Pastors, not so? Yeah, I see it happening where we stop and we celebrate because we work hard. And so I think it's also wonderful to schedule the celebrations. We celebrate, but maybe not as scheduled we used to do that. So I think we're going to pick a leaf from that. So as we come to the end, I think I want to ask for us as the pastors, leaders, dream team leaders, or team leaders who are here, what would you say to us as some of the key things that you'd say, if you do this, the team will grow? If you do this, I think the team will grow, and it will be healthy.
Let me take a moment. Well, I think what comes to mind is just, systems, healthy systems and loving relationships.
Wow.
So just like she said here before, love is how did she say, the thrust? Lifts the airplane, covers the sin. And, when we joined Seacoast Church, that was the first thing we noticed. They had so much love. So much love. We were almost overwhelmed. We got to know love and grace here through Apostle Mose. My pastor also back home in Switzerland would share that with us. And then when we joined Seacoast, it was just another sandwich, another icing on top. Just so much love. So loving relationships. There are many reasons why people come to church. There's one that people keep them in church, and that's relationships.
Wow.
So loving relationships, but then a system, an effective system, any kind of a system. It doesn't have to be the perfect system. It doesn't have to be our system. It doesn't have to be this church's system, but have a system.
All right.
Have some intention. Think through which is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And people appreciate the system because then they know what we're about, what our process is, and then they know where they are in the process.
Wow.
And then they know what their next step is. So it's so much easier when there's a clear system.
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking out of a whole lot of experience, because I fight for that all the time also in our lives, in our ministry, just to keep, because we're so quick at deviating from a system. We're so quick at the new shiny thing. Oh my goodness, this event and that event, and did you hear what this church is doing? Okay, let's try this over here. So we're so quick at trying to get that new shiny thing that will help save us and create that dream team. But really it's about just building that system and staying steady and continue to build it and tweak it along the way. Tweak it. But don't always constantly change it.
Whew. And then as a leader, ask the questions. So not just tell your dream team what they have to do.
So
if you have someone in the team, don't be afraid to ask them, how can we do it better?
Okay.
Because what it creates in that person, they're going to start feeling empowered.
Yeah.
Hey, I get to contribute to something. And when other ones see it's not just you being told, they want to be part of that too, because they want to help us make the church better, make the church bigger, and create a space for other ones to come.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
That's good.
Yes.
This has been very, very, very practical, inspiring, challenging for us, I think, at least for me and the people in the room, especially the handles that you've given us. Communication, training. Celebration. Those are the 3 anchors that we can build on. And then the other last 3 things that you've talked about, create some system. There must be a system. Yeah. Have a system, have loving relationships, ask questions, and empower the people on your team to feel like contributors as opposed to just being given instruction, because that's part of raising leaders. And I think we have things we can go and do immediately as leaders of teams to create room for growth, or even to strengthen what we already have where we have it. And I suspect that very soon you'll be hearing of teams of 800, 1,000. Hey,
come on.
My God, because
Let's
if God has done it there, He will do it where we are. The church must grow. Would you help me celebrate once again Pastor Tim and Pastor Rebecca for helping us this afternoon?